While preparing for the last race of my Stock Car Pro Custom Championship on the Salvador street circuit, I jumped into the time trial mode, as always, to find a good setup and, if possible, put in some good times. Normally I'm pretty content if I eventually end up on page 1 of the leaderboard. This time though it was a little different, because as a matter of fact I put in the fastest time on the leaderboard with a 1:11.550. And that's also the reason why I'm recording this, because I'd like to share not only the lab and brag a little, but because I'd like to share my experiences, what went well, what didn't, and of course you can use my setup and beat me. Let's take a look at my lab. As with most street circuits, also at Salvador, it's vital to get as close to the concrete walls as possible without, of course, kissing them too intensively. Another factor here is the steep, heavily cambered curbs. You don't want to touch them. The third characteristic of this track is that there is hardly any straight, if you know what I mean. Perfect lap with these cars is hardly possible. They have so much power, and perfect traction is really an ideal. So especially accelerating out of these very slow corners, and we've got a couple of those, is extremely hard. You have to be super gentle yet decisive with your throttle foot to get the power all onto the tarmac. Moreover, the line is super important here, of course. Get as close to the walls as possible, as close to the curbs as possible without hiking them. So that was the lap in cockpit view, but I added another one, namely the whole lap in chase view, where we can see how my line actually was, where there's still room for improvement. So let's take a look. Over the start-finish line, and then as close to the left wall as possible, then accelerating hard up to the 60-meter board perhaps. I'm in second and third gear. That was quite good, pretty close to the wall, full on the throttle, long right-hander, full throttle up to about 80 meters, down to first even. It doesn't look very quick, but it's good, but it's okay. 2 apexes in this hairpin. Up to the 60-meter board, super hard braking into this brutal chicane. I did it pretty good here. You can have different lines through this long right-hander. My line is to stay pretty close to the inside. In third gear, play around it with the traction and the grip available. Once I get to the apex, which is this pedestrian walkway, I get full on the throttle and then accelerate up into fifth gear. Hard brake in about 70 meters down to second, first. It's another super brutal hairpin. Get as early on the throttle again as possible up to the final chicane, which again is a critical spot for a good lap, because you want to cut as much as possible over these sausage curbs, but of course do not receive a track limits violation, and also you don't want to unsettle the car too much. I did it quite good here, let's say decent to good. My feeling is that I nevertheless lost about 1 to 2 tenths here in that last corner over the line, and that was a 1:11.550. So guys, this is my current fastest lap, number 1 on the leaderboard. I think you can do better with your juvenile, unspoiled senses and your turbo reflexes. It should be possible to go into the 1/10ths. So why not give it a shot? Tell me how fast you are, tell me in the comments, or link your video, and have a good time. Thanks a lot for watching. See you soon for the last race of my custom championship.